Okay, so you sent over a stack of NBA game summaries, and analysis looks like somebody wants the Western Conference download.
You're not wrong. Games like Suns, Grizzlies, Lakers, Cavaliers, the Thunder going head-to-head with the Timberwolves, Spurs, and Clippers.
Yeah, and some of these rookie performances have been
Oh, yeah.
mind-blowing. Where do we even begin?
Why don't we start with that Grizzlies-Suns game? Talk about a nail-biter. Memphis won 117 to 112,
Yeah,
but it wasn't easy.
every time it felt like the Suns got close, Ja Morant just took over. 35 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds.
Yeah,
Suns just couldn't contain him. It was like watching a video game cheat code.
exactly. That explosiveness, the ability for him to create his own shot and find his teammates open looks. Morant is a very unique talent. He completely disrupted the Suns' defensive strategy, forcing them to constantly adjust and react. It really makes you wonder, is this the year he enters the MVP conversation?
It's a possibility.
Mhm.
But the Suns, even with a loss, are still a team to watch once Devin Booker is back
Oh, absolutely.
to full strength.
Look out. Speaking of tough matchups, the Cavaliers really made a statement with their win over the Lakers 122 to 110.
Donovan Mitchell was incredible, 38 points. Seriously, he was unstoppable.
He really did steal the show. Now, the question is, was this more about Mitchell's killer instinct or the Lakers' defense needing some work?
That's a great question. LeBron still put up a respectable stat line, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. But it's clear he needs more support. If the Lakers want to be a serious contender, they can't just rely on LeBron to carry them every night.
You hit the nail on the head. They need to find a way to distribute the scoring load and, frankly, keep LeBron healthy for the long haul.
Speaking of teams that need to find ways to win, let's talk about the Thunder.
Yeah.
They pulled off a 113-105 victory over the Timberwolves. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was phenomenal. 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Is he the cornerstone of this franchise's future?
He's certainly playing like it. His consistency is remarkable. He's a clutch scorer, elevates the entire team. He's going to be a force in this league for years to come. That much is certain.
Okay, but now we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The Spurs dismantling the Clippers,
Yeah.
122-86. What happened there?
It was a statement win, no doubt about it. Rookie Victor Wembanyama, talk about living up to the hype. 28 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks. He was everywhere.
Yeah, his stat line is eye-popping.
I know, right?
What impressed you most about his performance? Did you see any weaknesses?
Honestly, what struck me was his maturity and basketball IQ. Playing with a poise and understanding of the game that's rare for a rookie. The Spurs' inside-out game where they work the ball inside to Wembanyama and then kick it out for open shots was incredibly effective against the Clippers. It's a testament to their coaching staff and the players' ability to execute the game plan.
It really makes you wonder if the Spurs team's ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe rebuilding isn't the right word. They look ready to compete right now.
It's an exciting time to be a Spurs fan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of excitement, this week was full of fantastic individual performances. Morant, Mitchell, Gilgeous, Alexander Wembanyama, the list goes on and on.
It does. But let's not forget, all these exciting moments are happening against a backdrop of nagging injuries. Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, even Victor Wembanyama. It feels like everyone's got something going on.
It's that time of year, unfortunately. The wear and tear starts to add up. Some teams are definitely more vulnerable than others when it comes to losing key players. The Lakers, for instance, are walking a tightrope. LeBron is defying age, but he can't do it alone.
And Anthony Davis, while a fantastic player, has had his share of injuries. If he goes down for any significant amount of time, the Lakers' playoff hopes could go right down with him.
It's a valid concern. They need to find ways to mitigate that risk and keep everyone as healthy as possible.
So how about we shift gears and talk about some of the strategic approaches we saw this week? The Grizzlies' fast break offense was electric. The Cavs were deadly with their pick and roll. The Thunder moved the ball beautifully, and the Spurs had that great inside-out game we just talked about.
Yeah.
Is any of this sustainable long-term?
That's a great question. You know, some strategies have more staying power than others. Take the Grizzlies' reliance on the fast break, for example. It's exhilarating to watch when it's working, but what happens when they face a team that can slow them down? What happens when they can't get out in transition and have to rely on their half-court offense? It's a valid question.
And on the other hand, you have a team like the Thunder, who emphasize ball movement and finding the open man. That's a style that can translate to success against a variety of opponents.
Exactly. It's about adaptability. The teams with the most versatile game plans are the ones who are going to be successful in the long run.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question.
Mm-hmm.
What does all of this mean for the Western Conference playoff picture?
Well, the Grizzlies, even with the injury concerns surrounding Morant, are looking like a legitimate threat. They're playing with confidence, they have a bona fide superstar, and they're getting contributions from up and down the roster.
But are they too reliant on Morant's individual brilliance? Can they win consistently against tough defenses when he's not firing on all cylinders?
Those are valid questions. It's something to watch as the season progresses. But let's not forget about the Suns. Despite the loss to Memphis and Booker's injury, they still have championship experience. They know how to win, and they have a deep roster. Once Booker's back in the lineup, they're going to be tough to beat. But the West is full of surprises, isn't it?
It really is, and that's what makes it so much fun to follow. Speaking of surprises, are there any dark horses we should be keeping an eye on? Any teams flying under the radar that could shake things up?
We'll keep an eye on that young Thunder squad. They're talented, they're playing with a ton of energy, and if Gilgeous-Alexander continues to develop at this pace, watch out. And we can't forget about the Spurs. That win against the Clippers wasn't a fluke.
Right.
They're for real.
It's shaping up to be a wild ride in the West.
Mm.
So much talent, so much potential for upsets. I don't know about you, but I'm hooked.
Me too, and this is just the beginning. With all the young talent emerging, Morant, Gilgeous-Alexander, Wembanyama, we could be witnessing the dawn of a new era in the Western Conference.
That's an excellent point. And it leads to another question. Who will be the dominant teams of the next decade? Will the old guard, the Lakers, the Suns, be able to keep pace, or will these young guns take over? And what about the teams in the midst of a rebuild, like the Spurs? Can they accelerate their timeline and contend sooner than anyone expected?
So many questions, but that's what makes the NBA so captivating. It's unpredictable, it's exciting, and there's always something new to discover.
Exactly. And that's what we love about these deep dives, exploring these trends,
Yeah.
analyzing the performances and trying to figure out what it all means.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Thanks for diving into the Western Conference with us. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you gained some new insights and maybe even had a few aha moments along the way. Keep those questions coming and stay tuned for our next deep dive into whatever topic piques your curiosity next. Until then, keep watching those games.
It really is shaping up to be a fascinating season, isn't it? And it's not just about the big names and the flashy plays.
Oh, absolutely. There were some under-the-radar performances this week that deserve a shout-out.
Josh Giddey, for instance, had a fantastic game for the Thunder against the Timberwolves. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists.
Yeah, he's such a smart player.
Exactly. He doesn't always get the headlines, but he's the kind of player who makes everyone around him better. A true floor general.
Speaking of making everyone better, can we talk about the strategic approaches we saw this week? It felt like every team had a different game plan.
Absolutely. You had the Grizzlies pushing the pace with their electric fast break offense, the Cavs dissecting defenses with their precision pick and roll game, the Thunder showcasing beautiful ball movement and teamwork.
And of course, the Spurs dominating inside with their impressive inside-out game centered around Wembanyama.
It was a clinic.
Mhm.
And, the pick and roll is particularly fascinating. It's essentially a two-man game where one player, usually the point guard, dribbles towards the basket, drawing the defense, and then passes to a teammate off in the center who is rolled towards the basket for an open shot or a dunk.
It's so effective when it's executed well. The Cavs really made it look effortless against the Lakers.
They did. But the question is, which of these strategies are sustainable in the long run? The Grizzlies' reliance on the fast break, while exciting, might be a bit of a gamble. What happens when they face a team that can control the tempo, slow the game down, and force them into half-court sets?
It's a valid point. It's almost like they're playing with house money right now. They're winning, they're having fun. But can they maintain that against elite defenses in the playoffs?
That's the big question, isn't it? And then you have a team like the Thunder who emphasize ball movement and finding the open man. That's a style that can translate to success against a variety of opponents.
It's a more adaptable approach for sure.
Exactly. It's about having multiple tools in your toolbox. The teams with the most versatile game plans are the ones who are going to be successful over the long haul.
So let's talk about the Western Conference playoff picture.
Yeah.
Who's standing out? Who are the contenders?
Well, the Grizzlies, despite the questions surrounding their reliance on the fast break, are definitely in the mix. They have that swagger, that confidence that comes with having a superstar like Ja Morant.
They're definitely exciting to watch.
They are. But we can't overlook the Suns. They have championship experience, a deep roster, and once Devin Booker returns from injury, they'll be a force to be reckoned with.
They always seem to find a way to win, don't they?
They do. But the West is wide open this year. Any team could make a run.
Which makes it even more exciting. Okay, so who are the dark horses? The teams that maybe aren't getting as much attention but could make some noise in the playoffs.
Well, the Thunder are definitely a team to watch. They're young, they're hungry, and they play with a ton of energy. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to develop at this rate, they could be dangerous. And, we can't forget about the Spurs.
That win against the Clippers was a statement.
It was. They're not just rebuilding anymore. They're ready to compete now. Victor
Yeah.
Wembanyama is the real deal, and the supporting cast around him is solid. Don't be surprised if they make a deep playoff run.
You mentioned Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs' impressive inside-out game. But what happens if teams start double-teaming Wembanyama every time he touches the ball?
That's a great question. It's something every young superstar has to face. How do you adjust when defenses throw everything they have at you?
Exactly. Can he develop his passing game? Can he find his open teammates when he's facing a double team? Those are going to be key factors in determining his long-term success.
Absolutely. It's not just about scoring points. It's about making the right play, whether that's passing to an open teammate, drawing a foul, or taking the shot yourself.
So it sounds like the Western Conference is shaping up to be a battleground this year. Lots of contenders, lots of dark horses, and lots of intriguing storylines to follow.
It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. And it's not just about who wins the championship. It's about the evolution of the game, the emergence of new stars, and the constant pursuit of excellence.
And with so much young talent on display, it makes you wonder.
Wonder what?
Well, is this the start of a new era in the Western Conference?
Yeah.
Are we witnessing a changing of the guard?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The landscape of the NBA is constantly shifting. Old dynasties fade, new contenders emerge, and the only constant is change.
And that's what makes it so captivating. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Western Conference, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from this conversation?
That's a great question. I think the biggest takeaway is that the Western Conference is more competitive than ever before.
It's a dogfight out there.
It is, and it's only going to get more intense as the season goes on. The playoff race is going to be a thriller, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Me neither. So much potential for excitement, so much drama, so much.
Basketball.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is amazing to think about how much the league has changed just in the last few years.
It really is, and with all this young talent coming in the future of the Western Conference is
Yeah.
bright. But like we were talking about, there are still so many questions.
So many questions. Will the Grizzlies be able to keep up that fast-paced style against those really good defenses in the playoffs? Can the Suns get back to their championship ways with a healthy Devin Booker? Will the Thunder and Gilgeous-Alexander keep exceeding expectations?
And will Victor Wembanyama be able to live up to all the hype and bring the Spurs back to being a contender? It's going to be wild to watch it all play out.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not just about each team and each player.
Exactly. It's about how the game itself changes. We're seeing new strategies and styles of play. There's a whole new level of athleticism and skill that we haven't seen before.
It's like the game is changing right in front of us.
And that's what makes it so exciting. There's always something new to see, something to think about, something new to love about this league.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the Western Conference. Thanks for joining us.
It's always a pleasure to dive deep with you.
And to everyone listening out there, thanks for sending us these awesome game summaries and analysis. We really hope you learned something new about how the Western Conference is changing and that you got some new ideas about the game. We talked a lot about all the players and their impact, but what about the coaches? How do their strategies and leadership affect the team's success? Are some coaches better at working with young players, while others are better at getting the most out of veterans? Think about that while you watch your next game. Keep those questions coming and make sure to join us for our next deep dive, where we'll look at something new. Until then, happy watching.